I'm 73 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that will haunt you for the rest of your life. Something I've carried in my chest, like a knife for 50 years. Something that turned me into a ghost walking among the living. I was buying apples at the farmer's market when I heard it. That voice, sweet, haunting, drifting through the October air like a prayer I thought I'd buried forever. Hush now, my baby, sleep tight through the night. My hands began to shake. The apples tumbled from my fingers, rolling across the pavement like scattered dreams. Because that voice, that beautiful, innocent voice, was singing my lullaby. The lullaby I never finished. The lullaby I wrote for the daughter I gave away. The street performer couldn't have been more than 30, dark hair, green eyes, sitting cross-legged on a blanket with her guitar, completely unaware that she was destroying the life of a stranger 20 feet away. When morning comes, Mama will be gone. Those weren't the original words. Those were the words I whispered to my baby girl on the last night I held her. The words I hummed through my tears as I rocked her to sleep before I became the monster who abandoned her own child. Let me tell you about the night I killed my own soul. May 15, 1973. I was 19 years old, unmarried, and holding the most perfect baby girl in the world. And I was about to destroy both our lives. Her name was Sarah May Collins. She had been inside me for 9 months, kicking against my ribs, responding to my voice, trusting me completely, and I was about to prove that trust was the most dangerous thing in the world. The adoption papers were already signed. The family was waiting. All I had to do was hand over my daughter and walk away like she never existed. But I couldn't do it. Not yet. Not without giving her something of me to take with her. So I held her close, breathed in that sweet baby smell, and I started to sing. Hush now, my baby, sleep tight through the night. Dream of tomorrow, everything's right. When morning comes, Mama will be... I couldn't finish it. The words got stuck in my throat like broken glass. Because how do you tell a baby that Mama will be gone? How do you explain that the voice she's been hearing for 9 months is about to disappear forever? The social worker knocked on the door at 6 a.m. Mrs. Henderson, a kind woman with sad eyes who had seen too many mothers like me. Too many girls who thought they were making the right choice. Are you ready, Dorothy? She asked softly. Ready? Ready to tear my heart out and hand it to strangers. Ready to spend the rest of my life wondering if my daughter was happy, safe, loved. Ready to become a shell of a human being who would never again feel complete. Yes, I lied. I'm ready. I kissed Sarah's forehead one last time, whispered I love you so quietly that God himself might have missed it, and I handed her over. Just like that, like she was a package to be delivered, not a piece of my soul. The last thing I saw was her tiny hand reaching for me as they carried her away, reaching for the mother who was about to become a stranger. That night, I tried to finish the lullaby. I sat at my piano, tears streaming down my face, and I tried to find the words, but every ending I wrote was a lie. Every promise I made was already broken. People think heartbreak heals. They think time makes it better. They're wrong. Some wounds just learn to hide better. I never married. How could I? Every man I met would eventually want children, and how could I explain that I'd already had a child? That I'd given her away like she meant nothing? I became a librarian. Quiet, safe, surrounded by other people's stories because I couldn't bear to live my own. Every day, children would come in, and I'd search their faces, wondering if one of them might be Sarah. Every May 15th, I would buy a cupcake and sing happy birthday to an empty room. Every Christmas, I would imagine what gifts I would have bought her. Every milestone I missed cut deeper than the last. At night, I would lie awake and wonder, does she remember my voice? Does she know I exist? Does she hate me for what I did? But there she was, 50 years later, singing my lullaby on a street corner, and I knew. I just knew. I stumbled closer, my heart hammering against my ribs. She looked up at me with those green eyes, my mother's eyes, and smiled. Did you like the song? She asked. It's an old family lullaby. My grandmother taught it to me before she died. My grandmother, the woman who had given birth to me, who had died when Sarah was 5 years old. The woman who had somehow, impossibly, kept our connection alive. Where did you learn it? I whispered. My mom sang it to me when I was little. She said it came from her birth mother, but she never met her. It was the only thing she had left of her real family. Her real family. The words hit me like a physical blow. I was her real family. I was the grandmother she'd never known she had. What's your name? I asked, though I already knew the answer would destroy me. Sarah, she said. Sarah Mae Johnson. Well, that's my married name. I was Sarah Mae Collins before. The world tilted. Colors became brighter. Sounds became sharper. My daughter. My baby girl. Sitting right in front of me, alive and beautiful, and completely unaware that she was talking to the woman who had abandoned her. Sarah, I repeated, tasting her name like a prayer. You're a beautiful girl, thank you. You know, you look familiar. Have we met? We'd met 50 years ago, baby girl. The first time you heard my voice, you were still inside me. The last time you heard it, you were 3 days old and I was singing you to sleep before I destroyed both our lives. I don't think so, I lied. Again, still lying after all these years. But then she started singing again, and I couldn't help myself. I started singing with her. Hush now, my baby, sleep tight through the night. Dream of tomorrow, everything's right. When morning comes, Mama will be. We both stopped. She was staring at me with wide eyes, and I realized I'd just revealed the secret I'd kept for 50 years. How do you know that song? She whispered. No one knows that song except my family. The moment of truth. The moment I'd been running from for half a century. The moment when I had to choose between protecting my secret and claiming my daughter. Because I wrote it, I said. I wrote it for you. For me. But I don't understand. Sarah Mae Collins, I said, my voice breaking. Born May 15, 1973, at 3:47 a.m. 6 pounds, 2 ounces. You had a birthmark on your left shoulder shaped like a crescent moon. She pulled down her shirt collar. There it was. Still there after all these years. You're her, she breathed. You're my birth mother. I'm the woman who gave you away, I said. I'm the woman who broke her own heart and spent 50 years trying to put it back together. Sarah started crying. Not the gentle tears of joy you see in movies, but the raw, ugly sobs of someone whose entire life has just been rewritten. Why? She asked. Why did you give me away? Because I was 19 and terrified, and I thought I was doing the right thing. Because I thought a good family could give you everything I couldn't. Because I was an idiot who thought love wasn't enough. Did you ever think about me? Every day, every single day for 50 years, I've been looking for you in every child I've ever met. I've been listening for your voice in every crowd. I've been dying a little bit more each year, wondering if you were happy. She stood up from her blanket, walked over to me, and without a word, she hugged me, my daughter, my baby girl, holding me for the first time since she was 3 days old. I looked for you too, she whispered. I've been looking my whole life. Sarah had 2 children, my grandchildren, beautiful, perfect babies who called me Grandma Dorothy, and had no idea that their grandmother had once been the kind of woman who could give away her own child. We spent 3 years making up for lost time. 3 years of birthdays and holidays and quiet moments where we just sat together, marveling at the fact that we'd found each other. She told me about her childhood, about the parents who had raised her with love and kindness, about how she'd always felt like something was missing, like there was a hole in her heart that nothing could fill. I used to have dreams, she said. Dreams about a woman singing to me. I never understood what they meant until I met you. I told her about the 50 years I'd spent as a ghost, about the nights I'd lie awake wondering if she was safe, about the way I'd searched for her face in every crowd. I should have looked harder, I said. I should have fought to find you. You did find me, she said. Maybe not the way you planned, but you found me, and I found you. That's all that matters now. Sarah died on a Tuesday. It was raining. Isn't it always? In stories like this, the news came with the kind of silence that screams, the kind that turns your blood cold and your lungs to stone. 1 second she was driving home from work, humming along to a song on the radio. The next, a drunk driver ignored a red light, and the world tilted forever. I remember the officer's face, how his mouth moved, but I didn't hear a thing. Just static. Just no, not again. I had already buried her once figuratively, emotionally, spiritually. But this time, it was her body I was burying. Her life, her laugh, her future. This time, there would be no reunion. I sat at her funeral in the front row, surrounded by people who loved her. Friends, coworkers, neighbors, her children, my grandchildren. They all wore black, but my soul was the only thing truly colorless. I thought I would be alone that day, that I would grieve in a solitary corner, swallowed by my guilt. But I wasn't. Emma held my hand the whole time. Caleb rested his head on my shoulder and cried. And when the service ended, and the choir fell silent, Emma whispered, "Sing it, Grandma." I didn't think I could, but somehow, my voice emerged, shaky, raw, but real. "Hush now, my baby, sleep tight through the night, ... My throat tightened, my eyes burned. "Dream of tomorrow, ... I choked, just like before, just like 50 years ago. But this time, I wasn't alone. "Everything's right, ... Voices joined me. Dozens of them, friends, family, strangers. They picked up the lullaby like it had always belonged to them. "When morning comes, Mama will be ... I closed my eyes, waiting for you in eternity. And in that moment, I felt her. I swear to you, I felt her, Sarah, standing beside me, smiling, whole. After the funeral, the house felt impossibly quiet. I would catch myself expecting her to walk in the door, to call me, to laugh. Instead, I found her in little things. The scarf she left draped over the couch, the way her children smiled, tilted their heads, spoke with her cadence, the scent of lavender from her old sweater. One night, weeks after the funeral, I woke to a sound, a voice, a lullaby. Emma was sitting by her brother's bed, singing softly to calm his nightmares. She had taken up the song, without hesitation, without fear. Not as a burden but as a gift. And in that quiet moment, I realized something. Sarah wasn't gone. She was living in her children, in their kindness, in their strength, in the music that still filled the walls of this old house. 3 days before the accident, Sarah gave me a journal, leather-bound, handwritten. "It's not much," she said, "but it's pieces of me. For you, in case I'm ever not around." At the time, I thought she meant someday far in the future, but now, it was all I had left. Inside were poems, letters to her children, reflections about our reunion. One page stopped my heart. "Dear Mom, I used to think you were the woman who left. Now I know you were the woman who watched from the shadows and waited for the light. You didn't abandon me. You broke your own heart to save mine. I love you for that. I will always love you for that." I held that journal against my chest for hours. Every page smelled like her. Every word sang like her voice. Time doesn't heal. That's a myth. What time does is make the pain more familiar. It becomes part of you. A shadow you stop trying to outrun. Sarah's children grew older. Emma went off to college with a scholarship in music therapy. Caleb developed a gift for writing. He published a short story in a youth journal. It was about a ghost mother who watches her daughter sing from the afterlife. He told me it was fiction, but we both knew better. When Emma turned 18, she founded a small nonprofit. She called it Sarah's Voice and Organization, helping adopted children and birth mothers reconnect through music and storytelling. At the launch event, she asked me to speak. I stood on stage, clutching the microphone like a life raft, and told our story, mine and Sarah's. I told the crowd about the lullaby, the apples. The moment I heard her voice again after 50 years, and when I sang, the entire audience joined in. Not one person stayed silent. Not one person left unchanged. That night, I knew, the lullaby wasn't just a song. It was a lifeline, a thread of love that refused to break. The cancer returned in the winter. This time, I didn't fight it. not out of hopelessness, but peace. I had lived long enough to be seen, to be forgiven, to love and be loved in return. Every evening, Emma sits by my bedside and reads to me. Sometimes, she sings. Sometimes, we cry. Sometimes, we just sit in silence, letting the lullaby echo in the walls of the room where so much pain had turned into healing. I am not afraid, because I know when morning comes, she will be waiting, and this time I won't let go. People talk about legacy like it's some grand thing, money, books, awards, but mine is simple. A melody, a granddaughter's laughter. The look in Caleb's eyes when he finishes a story. The way Emma rests her head on my shoulder when she sings. That is my legacy. That is the lullaby that lives on. I am ready now. To close my eyes, to drift, to let go. But before I do, I want you to hear it one last time. From the beginning to the very end. Hush now, my baby. Sleep tight through the night. Dream of tomorrow, everything's right. When morning comes, Mama will be waiting for you in eternity. My voice is quieter now. It fades with each breath. The nurse says my lungs are weaker. The morphine has dulled the edges of the pain, but not the memories, not the love. I don't fear what comes next. Death, after all, is just a door. And on the other side, I believe she's waiting, my Sarah. Maybe still that soft, pink baby girl. Or maybe the grown woman I met on that October morning, sitting on a blanket with a guitar in my grandmother's eyes. I hope she remembers me, not just as the woman who gave her away, but as the woman who loved her through every silent year. Emma doesn't leave my side anymore. She reads to me, holds my hand, tells me about her college classes and the new songs she's writing. I listen with closed eyes and imagine Sarah's voice layered behind hers, like a harmony only I can hear. Grandma, Emma whispered tonight, do you think Mom can see us? I know she can, I said. Do you think she forgives you? Tears welled in my eyes. I didn't need to think. She already did. Emma squeezed my hand and rested her head against my arm. We didn't speak again for a long time. Just breathing, together, just being. This was what I had missed all my life. The weight of a child's head on my shoulder. The shared silence of belonging. The peace of being seen. Last night, I dreamed of the farmer's market again, but this time, I wasn't alone. Sarah was beside me, barefoot, smiling, holding a basket of apples. She turned to me and said, I kept the song, Mama. I know, I said. I heard it. You did good, she whispered. I reached for her hand, but before I could touch her, she vanished. When I woke, Emma was humming at the window. The same melody, the same song. Sarah's voice, now hers. There are things I never told anyone, not even Sarah. Like how I used to visit the park where her adoptive family had picnics. I'd sit on a bench across the field, pretending to read, just so I could see her running through the grass. Or how I once followed them to a Christmas tree lot, and watched as she picked out a crooked little tree with her dad, insisting it was the most beautiful one. Or how I mailed her a birthday card every year, unsigned, unaddressed, just a musical card that played a lullaby, our lullaby, hoping, foolishly, that she would somehow know. Maybe it wasn't the kind of love people understood. Maybe it was strange. But it was the only kind I had. I wasn't brave enough to be in her life, so I became the quiet wind that followed her. The ghost that protected her. And even if she never knew it, I was there. I never really left. There's one more letter I've written. It's sealed, tied with a ribbon, tucked into my nightstand. It's for Emma. It says, Dearest Emma, you are the best part of my story. You carry the love of 3 women inside, your mother, your great-grandmother, and me. When you sing, it's like all of us are breathing again. Never stop singing. Never stop loving boldly. And when you miss me, just sing our song. I'll be there in every note, Grandma Dorothy. I asked her not to open it until after I'm gone. I think she already knows what it says. The doctors say any day now. Funny how time becomes heavy at the end. Like each minute has a weight you can feel pressing on your chest. Each breath becomes a goodbye. I've stopped keeping track of hours. I measure time differently now. The way Caleb tiptoes into the room at night just to check I'm still breathing. The soft kisses Emma plants on my forehead each morning. The stories they tell me from the foot of my bed, like bedtime tales reversed. Each moment is a lullaby of its own. Each one a final verse I never expected to live. When I close my eyes for good, I believe Sarah will be there. Maybe she'll be holding my old quilt, the one I used to wrap her in. Maybe she'll have the guitar in her lap. Maybe she'll be singing, the way she did that October morning when everything changed. And I will join her voice with mine. And we will finally, truly, finish the lullaby together. Not for an audience. Not for the world. But for us. For every mother who thought love wasn't enough. For every daughter who wondered if she was ever wanted. We'll sing for the broken ones. The silent ones. The searching ones. We'll sing for you, if you're listening. Because love doesn't end. And lullabies never truly fade. I can feel it now. It's close. My chest is heavy. My hands are cold. But there's no fear. Only warmth. A presence in the room that feels ... familiar. Maybe it's Sarah. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's just the weight of peace after a lifetime of carrying shame. I want to say thank you. To everyone who listened. To everyone who sang. To everyone who understood. To Sarah for forgiving me. To Amo for saving me. To Amo for hearing me. Good night. When morning comes, Mama will be waiting for you in eternity.